Just one last thing I want to say, um, that I think is very important is one of the reasons why all these riots are starting is because of two-tier policing. We saw the riot in Leeds where Romanians were kicking off, hundreds of them, and we saw British British police, like 50 to 100, running away from them, treating them with kid gloves. On the other hand, we saw in London the other day people who were not doing anything wrong, they were doing nothing wrong, arresting grannies, arresting women, and they were doing nothing wrong. We've seen every week people who are protesting for free Palestine. Many of them who've called for jihad. There have been times on streets where there have been groups calling for jihad. We've seen many of them be violent to the police, no arrest, nothing done. And yet, those who are British people just being arrested for nothing and treated quite brutally and quite violently by the police. And now it's backfired. So you have uh, people who are indigenous, who are British people, their own police are not treating them fairly. They're not treating them fairly. They're going in with batons, they're going in with helmets, and yet if it's the Romanians or people who are doing Palestinian protesting for free Palestine, as they say, people who are flying the Hamas flag, the far left Antifa, or uh, Islamicists who are protesting um, for Palestine, they're treated with kid gloves. Nobody's wearing helmets. There's no batons by the police. No helmets, no shields, no arrests, and they've been much more violent than any group. These groups, the Antifa in the past, the far left in the past, and also these Palestinian protests. They've been quite violent in Manchester a few weeks ago, um, but yet what we saw the other day when there was a few thousand, not a few thousand, maybe a few hundred protesters outside Westminster, and we saw police just grabbing people. They had helmets, they had shields, batons. They were just grabbing people and arresting people for nothing. And we saw the Muslim youths beat up police officers in the situation in the airport in Manchester, and it's the police officer that gets put in court in the courts, taken to court, but the Muslim guys are let off. We see police running away in Leeds from the Romanians. So there's a two-tier system where really we're like living in a communist state where our own people are just not being treated fairly by the police. And that's why everybody's in an uproar. That's why everybody's angry. And to add fuel to the fire, the media keep calling people far right. So you're demonizing your own population, your own people. The majority of people, you're calling them far right. And you're even there's even videos where they're going to houses now, they're hunting you down, they're going to your house, smashing your door down and arresting you. So the police are being tough and hard on their own people, their own British people. Yet when it was the Romanians kicking off in Leeds, they ran away. There's Muslim gangs going around with knives and machetes. Some guy, I think he's Stoke and Trent, or around that area, has had his head poleaxed with a hammer by a Muslim gang. No arrest, nothing's done. You know, so two-tier policing shows you that there's been a seismic shift in our country where our country's gone. Our country's been taken from us. Our country has been taken from us. We no longer are welcome in our own country. We're no longer welcome by our own government. We're no longer welcome as British people in our own country. We're not allowed to have the same rights as those who've come into our country. We don't have the same rights as them. And that's what I see. I just had to say that because I've just been watching the riots and videos and things, and that I see a stark contrast. I'm not justifying those who've become violent now, who are being violent. I'm not justifying that. But it was started by the police. The police have started this by kowtowing to the Islamicists, kowtowing to the Palestinian protesters, kowtowing to Antifa and BLM and the Black Lives Matter and all them in the past, kowtowing to all those ideologies and agendas, and bending over backwards not to be coming with strong arm tactics with policing. And yet when it comes to the British people, you come in hard, and now you're getting a backlash. And so it's your own fault as the police. It's your own fault as the establishment. You caused it because of your ideology, because you're trying to remake Britain in your own ideological way. And it's backfiring because people are getting upset. People are getting angry because you're not treating them right. I'm not justifying the throwing bricks at the police. And obviously some folks have jumped on the bandwagon and smashing shops and things like that. I don't agree with that at all. But you can understand where the backlash is coming. People are getting fed up. The feeling that they're being left behind, the feeling they're not being treated by their own people. And so the police going in thuggery the way they're going in and making it worse. And not only that, the establishment is making it worse by brandishing British people as far right. They're not far right. It's just ridiculous. It's a scandal. It's wicked. It's evil to call these people far right. There's a few thugs here and there, but the vast majority of people who are kicking off at the moment, they're genuinely angry, and that anger is not being addressed. And there's the establishment are not being responsible, trying to bring unity to the wider British community. Instead, they're demonizing the majority and saying they're the thugs. Aye, John. They're the thugs. And then on the media, they're painting a picture of this unity that they think that they're showing, this sort of community unity that they say they're focusing on, and that these far right thugs. But the reality is, these people who are out on the streets, yeah, there are some that have come out who are thugs, but the many thousands of these people, tens of thousands of these people that have been coming out recently, the last day or two, they're just downright angry and upset the way they're being treated and the way our own people are being treated. And to brandish them as far right is not going to solve the problem. It's only going to make it worse. It's only going to cause more division and make everybody more angry and alienate people from Parliament, from the police, make them feel that that the police and the Parliament don't represent them. And so you're storing up, to be honest, you're storing up civil war, because what you're doing is you're pushing people away from the process. You're demonizing them and pushing them away from the process rather than recognizing their anger. Their anger is justified, and you should recognize that anger and say, yeah, we understand why you're angry. We're letting thousands and thousands of people coming in unvetted who are getting benefits. There's violence on the streets by these people. People are getting raped. There are stabbings and all the rest of it. We understand your anger. Please, we'll get it. We're going to put into action. Instead, people are hearing things like thousands and thousands of asylum seekers are going to get visas. Just like that. We're hearing pensions are being raided to pay for whatever, to pay for whatever the government wants to do. But obviously, these pensioners that are going to get taxed. It's paying. All right, John. God bless you. Pensioners being taxed, and where's the money going to pay these people who are coming to our country, and to pay for their hotel bills and things like that? So you can see why people are getting angry, and to demonize them as far right, it's absolute stupidity. It's a scandal. And I tell you what, if they continue to do that, they're going to alienate millions of people. It's going to lead to some kind of civil war in the next 10 to 15 years. It's a stupid way of going about things. You need to talk and try to bring people together, and not come in heavy-handed with all these batons and beating everybody up. And treat everybody equally in the eyes of the law. Treat everybody fairly, not have a two-tier system. And that's just another thing I need to say, So the establishment are to blame for this mess. That's where the true blame is, the establishment and the media and the establishment. And the media are complicit in this, and they're not being responsible in the way they're demonizing people as far right. It's not fair at all. There might be a few. There's obviously thugs that are jumping on the bandwagon. There's obviously a few, but the vast majority of people are just fed up. They're sick to death of the way things are. And their problems, their issues, their challenges are not being faced. All right. Good night. Take care. God bless you.